There is a missile in Iran's arsenal that Israel has feared for years, not because it is the fastest, not because it carries the largest warhead, but because of what it represents: a weapon that can be launched in minutes, cannot be easily tracked, and is designed specifically to defeat the air defense systems that protect Israeli cities. On March 15, 2026, that missile entered the war for the first time. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announced that it had launched Sejjil ballistic missiles against Israel as part of the 54th wave of Operation True Promise 4. The IRGC stated that these strategic, solid-fuel missiles were aimed directly at command centers related to Israeli Air Force operations. Not a Shahed drone, not a Khorramshahr, the Sejjil, a weapon that Iranian military planners have been perfecting for nearly 2 decades. And now, for the first time since this war began on February 28th, it is flying toward Israeli targets. Before I show you exactly why the Sejjil is Iran's most feared ballistic missile, and why its debut changes the strategic calculus for every air defense commander in the region, hit subscribe. This is War Conflict. I post forensic analysis of every major escalation, and this is the weapon that should keep every Israeli air defense officer awake tonight. Let me start with what is confirmed and what is not, because transparency matters. On March 15, 2026, the IRGC announced the execution of the 54th wave of its military operation against Israel, marking the first use of the Sejjil missile in the ongoing campaign. The Sejjil is a 2-stage, solid-fuel, medium-range ballistic missile. It is approximately 18 meters long, 1.25 meters in diameter, and weighs more than 23 tons. The missile has an estimated range of 2,000 to 2,500 kilometers, meaning it can reach every corner of Israel from launch sites deep inside Iranian territory. The Sejjil can carry a warhead weighing between 500 and 1,000 kilograms, and some sources report up to 1,500 kilograms. The missile was first successfully tested in 2009. Its combat debut against Israel occurred during the June 2025 war, and has now been repeated in March 2026. What is analysis? The exact number of Sejjil missiles launched, the specific target struck, and the precise interception rate remain disputed. The strategic implications: the solid fuel advantage, the maneuverable reentry vehicle, the dancing missile nickname, those are based on open-source technical analysis from military experts and defense publications. But here's what you need to understand before we go further. The Sejjil is not just another missile. It represents a fundamental technological leap that changes how Israel must defend itself. Let me explain what makes the Sejjil different from every other Iranian missile. For decades, Iran's ballistic missile arsenal was built around liquid fuel technology. Missiles like the Shahab 3 require fueling before launch. That process takes time, sometimes hours. During that time, the missile is vulnerable on the ground. Spy satellites can see it. Warplanes can strike it. Adversaries have time to prepare and respond. The Sejjil changes this completely. It uses 2-stage solid propellant. Solid fuel missiles can be stored in silos or on mobile launchers for years, fully fueled and ready to fire. When the order comes, they can be launched in minutes. Not hours. Minutes. Uzi Rubin, the former director of Israel's Ballistic Missile Defense Organization, gave a remarkable assessment of this weapon. He said, and I quote, "Unlike other Iranian missiles, the Sejjil has no resemblance to any missile technology from North Korea, Russia, China, or Pakistan. It represents a significant leap forward in Iran's missile capabilities." Think about what that means. Almost every other Iranian missile is based on foreign technology: North Korean Scud derivatives, Chinese designs, Russian systems. The Sejjil is different. It is indigenous. Iranian engineers designed it from the ground up. But range and solid fuel are only part of the story. The Sejjil has another feature that makes it genuinely terrifying to air defense planners. It can maneuver during its terminal descent. Ballistic missiles normally follow a predictable parabolic arc. You calculate where the warhead will come down, and you send an interceptor to that point. The Sejjil breaks that equation. According to military analysts, the missile is equipped with a highly maneuverable re-entry vehicle, what defense experts call a MARV. As the warhead races toward its target at high speed, it can perform continuous zigzag maneuvers. This has earned it a nickname in military circles: the dancing missile. Here's what that means for Israeli air defense. The Arrow system, the David Sling, the Iron Dome, all of them rely on predicting where an incoming warhead will be. When the warhead is dancing, making unpredictable changes in direction, the prediction algorithms fail. The interceptor misses. The warhead continues. The only way to defeat a maneuvering re-entry vehicle is to launch multiple interceptors in a grid pattern, covering every possible approach path. That means for every Sejjil warhead, Israel might need to fire 3, 4, or 5 interceptors. Each Arrow 3 interceptor costs between $2 and $4 million. The math becomes unsustainable very quickly. This is not speculation. This is the assessment of Western military experts who have studied the Sejjil for years. The missile was designed to defeat precisely the systems that Israel has spent billions building. There is another layer to this that makes the Sejjil even more dangerous. The missile is also coated with radar-absorbent material. This reduces its radar cross-section, the size of the return signal that Israeli radar systems see. Combine stealth coating with a maneuvering warhead, and you have a weapon that is both hard to detect and hard to intercept once detected. The IRGC announced that the Sejjil was used alongside other heavy weapons in the 54th wave, including Khorramshahr missiles carrying 2-ton warheads, as well as Khaybar Shakan, Qadar, and Ahmad missiles. This was not a single missile test. This was a coordinated, multi-platform strike designed to saturate Israeli defenses. According to the IRGC statement, the targets included management and decision-making centers related to Israel's aerial operations, vital military and defense industrial infrastructure, and military assembly points located in the heart of Israeli territory. Reports from the field indicate that the Iranian attack caused significant damage. Debris from an Iranian missile struck a civilian building used by the U.S. consulate in Tel Aviv, which is believed to house diplomatic staff. Air raid sirens blared across central and southern Israel. At least 3 people in Tel Aviv and another in a nearby area were injured by missile debris. On April 8, 2026, Iran fired another round of missile attacks targeting Israel. Just 2 hours after President Trump announced a ceasefire, 2 teenagers were lightly injured. The Israeli Air Force continued its airstrikes in Iran despite the ceasefire announcement. Here is the uncomfortable number that should concern every defense planner. Before the war began, Iran was estimated to have approximately 2,500 ballistic missiles in its arsenal, with ranges varying from a few hundred kilometers to over 2,000 kilometers. This includes the Sejjil, which represents the upper end of that range and capability spectrum. The United States has spent decades and trillions of dollars building air defense systems designed to intercept missiles like the Sejjil. But those systems were designed against predictable, non-maneuvering threats. The dancing missile was not part of the original requirement. Mark Kansian, a missile expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, described the current conflict in stark terms. He said, "This is a race to see if our stocks, the U.S. stocks, run out first, or if Iran's missile stockpile does." Here is what makes that race particularly concerning. The Sejjil is believed to be produced in smaller quantities than Iran's older missiles. It is more expensive. It requires more advanced manufacturing. But Iran has had years to stockpile it, and now, for the first time, they are using it. The debut of the Sejjil also raises a critical intelligence question. U.S. President Donald Trump had previously claimed that 80% of Iran's missile launch capabilities had been eliminated. Yet Iran was able to launch a multi-missile wave, including the Sejjil, a weapon that requires specialized mobile launchers and significant pre-launch preparation. This suggests that either the intelligence assessment was overly optimistic, or that Iran has successfully hidden a significant portion of its most advanced missile forces from American surveillance. The Sejjil is also significant because of what it represents for Iran's allies. Hezbollah, Iran's close partner in Lebanon, has already announced that it used an advanced missile to target the Palmaqim airbase south of Tel Aviv. The implication is clear. Iran is sharing technology, and its proxies are learning. Fabian Hinz, an expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, told reporters that the Sejjil is Iran's longest-range solid-fuel missile. The weapon can cover all targets in Israel and even reach parts of southeastern Europe if fired from deep within Iran. The United States and its allies now face a difficult choice. They can continue to intercept incoming missiles with expensive, limited-supply interceptors. That approach is economically unsustainable. The Patriot PAC-3 interceptor costs approximately $4 million per missile. In the first 6 days of the conflict alone, the number of Patriot interceptors used may have exceeded 1,000, nearly double the annual production rate of that missile type. Or they can attempt to destroy the Sejjil launchers before they fire. But the Sejjil is mobile. Its solid fuel allows it to be stored on the launcher, ready to fire in minutes. Finding and destroying these launchers before they launch is a near impossible task. Iran has also demonstrated that it can coordinate complex multi-wave attacks. The 54th wave was not a one-off event. It was part of a sustained campaign that has now reached wave 54, with no end in sight. The IRGC's statement after the 54th wave invoked a Quranic reference. They quoted, "Striking them with stones of hard clay, Sejjil." The name of the missile itself is a reference to the Islamic tradition of divine punishment. This is not accidental. Iran is messaging. The Sejjil is not just a weapon, it is a symbol. A symbol that Iran can strike Israel's most protected assets using technology that Israeli air defense cannot guarantee to stop. The silence from Israeli officials about the Sejjil's debut is telling. The IDF has not confirmed whether any Sejjil warheads were intercepted. They have not released damage assessments. They have not held press conferences boasting about interception rates. That silence is not a cover-up. It is a recognition that the Sejjil represents a new category of threat, one that the existing defense architecture was not designed to handle. Here's my question for you in the comments. Can Israel and the United States adapt their air defense systems to counter maneuvering reentry vehicles like the Sejjil? Or has Iran's dancing missile made traditional ballistic missile defense obsolete? All sources are linked in the description. The Times of Israel, Breaking Defense, CSIS, and other verified news outlets confirm the Sejjil's specifications, its combat debut, and the strategic implications. If you made it this far, you understand that the next war won't be won by the side with the most interceptors. It will be won by the side with the missiles that make those interceptors irrelevant. This is war conflict. I'll see you in the next one.